Welcome to Epic Tutorials. My name is Elliot, and in this beginner's guide I'm going to teach you how to get up and running quickly with MotionCam Pro version 4, or MC Pro for short, so you can capture stunning RAW video on Android smartphones. Remember, there are chapters integrated into the player to help you find exactly what you're looking for. Now let's start by taking a brief tour of MotionCam Pro's interface, starting with the mode selector in the lower left. This is where you can choose one of MC Pro's 6 capture modes. For this tutorial, we're going to set this to RAW video. Running along the lower left are settings for camera, video configuration, frame rate, and general settings. In the lower right of the interface you have your exposure, focus, and temperature controls, with an EV slider directly above. The record button is in the center right of the screen, and in the upper left you get access to additional features such as the orientation switch, max screen brightness toggle, direct preview, which will switch between the standard Android video preview and the direct RAW preview, a RAW histogram toggle, information, which provides a quick link to join the community on Discord, and manage videos, which is where you can view, edit, and process your RAW videos. All of these settings are available only when a recording is not in progress. Let's start by configuring MotionCam Pro's settings so we're ready to capture RAW video. Tap on Camera. Here you can choose any of your available lenses along the side. If your handset maker has not made all lenses available to third-party apps, you can toggle on Search for hidden lenses in an effort to discover them. However, they may not work reliably. As a result, I'll leave this off for now and I'll select the main lens on my smartphone, which is the 24mm. Next, you can choose to enable or disable optical image stabilization. I like to leave this on unless filming on a tripod. We will leave all other settings at their default for now. With our lens selected, let's tap outside to close. Next, let's tap to set our video resolution. Tap on Capture Resolution to reveal a list of all supported resolutions for RAW capture on your device. 3840 by 2160 is 16 by 9 4K UHD, which is the standard resolution for 4K capture on a smartphone, but you can access even higher resolution by selecting 4:3. This is great if you plan on using your video for landscape and vertical content due to the additional height provided. If you want maximum resolution, you can scroll down and select Full Sensor. However, typically 3840 by 2160 16 by 9 will be the best resolution, so I'll select that for now. Next, scroll down to Recording Path. This will show you where your recorded videos are being saved to on your Android device. By default, RAW recordings, which are packaged as MC RAW files, are saved to the Documents MotionCam folder, and direct log recordings are saved to the DCIM MotionCam folder. If you want to change the recording path for both formats, tap on Set. Here, for example, we could specify an external SSD or another system folder on our smartphone. But for now, I'll reset to defaults by tapping Reset, and this is the directory we will use when importing our RAW video later. Next, scroll down to Audio Settings. If you were using an external microphone, you could select it from the input list here. I'm not, so I'll leave this at System Default. We will leave all other settings at their default and tap outside to close. Next, let's set our frame rate by tapping on FPS. Along the top are all the frame rates officially supported by your currently selected lens, and typically, unless testing unsupported frame rates, you should only select from here to avoid issues. I'm going to choose 24 FPS and then tap outside to close. Now it is important for you to understand that the resolution and frame rate we just set are set for our currently selected lens only. If I tap on Camera and choose the ultra-wide lens, for example, you can see that the FPS is different. You will need to apply your desired video resolution and frame rate on a per lens basis. Once set, it will stick. If I switch back to the main wide, it retains my previous settings, but keep this in mind. Lastly, let's open General Settings. If recording audio is important to you, leave the audio meter enabled, which will display an audio meter on the left side of the interface. Level meter is useful for ensuring your device is level. I don't need either right now, so I'll turn both off. And if you want to frame using the rule of thirds, select 3x3 from the Display Grid drop-down menu. Scroll down, and if you don't intend to manually set your white balance for each shot, but want to avoid it fluctuating throughout a recording, make sure you enable Lock White Balance on Record. Next, enable RAW histogram, as this is essential for correctly exposing RAW video. We will leave all other settings at their default and tap outside to close. MotionCam Pro is now fully configured and ready to record RAW video. But first, let's learn how to correctly set focus and exposure for our shot in tandem with our RAW histogram. The quickest way to set your focus and exposure is via a tap on an area of interest, which will reveal and place the circular focus reticle and the square exposure reticle over your tap point. You can also position the square exposure reticle and circular focus reticle independently of one another, which is great. The reticles will continuously sample the area of interest, so if something changes beneath the focus reticle, the focus will automatically shift, and the same is true of exposure. To disable the reticle system and reset to full auto mode, tap on the reset button next to the EV slider. You can also quick lock your shutter and ISO, focus and temperature value by long pressing on each value so it turns yellow to indicate it is locked. You can unlock a value by long pressing it again so it returns to white. Or you can reset all locked values to auto by tapping the reset icon next to the EV slider. And the EV slider can be used to offset exposure, either negatively reducing exposure or positively increasing exposure. Ideal if you find, for example, that your phone typically overexposes the scene in auto mode. You can lower the exposure compensation to protect your highlights, and we can tap the reset button to return our EV to 0. Lastly, let's set our exposure, focus and white balance manually. I'll tap on exposure to set my shutter speed. A great feature of MotionCam Pro is that it also supports shutter angle in the lower left to help you achieve cinematic motion blur. I'll set this to 180 degrees, and the shutter speed slider on the right automatically snaps to 1/48th of a second. Next, tap on ISO, and here we can either use the slider for fine grain adjustments or the stepper up and down arrows to move in wider increments of 100. Remember that typically, the lower the ISO, the less noise that will be in your image. Any exposure adjustments in MC Pro should be made with reference to the RAW histogram, which we enabled earlier. You can also turn this on and off from the top left control bar. Each channel has a clipping indicator for red, green, and blue. Keep an eye on these. Green will typically clip first. Clipping a single channel can sometimes be rectified in post thanks to the RAW format, but where possible, try to avoid clipping to preserve your highlight detail. Enabling direct preview will give you a better idea of your exposure based on the RAW stream, but remember, these tools located in the upper left control bar can only be engaged when a recording is not in progress. Next, let's tap on focus, and focus peaking is automatically applied when in manual focus mode, and we can use the focus slider to set our focus. A nifty feature is that we can also pinch to zoom the live preview to activate a focus assist, and this zoom won't affect your recording. Pinch out, or with the focus slider closed, you can tap Reset View. Lastly, let's manually set our white balance. Currently this is in auto, so a good way to set it, especially if you're using a white balance card like this one, is to place it in your frame and long press Temp to lock it. Alternatively, we can tap to open the temp slider and manually input our desired Kelvin manually, for example to match a rated light source. The steppers can also be used to move in 100 Kelvin increments, but as we are recording in RAW, we have full control over our white balance in post, so don't sweat it if it's off a little. Now we're ready to record our clip by hitting the record button. As soon as we do this, the control bar in the upper left disappears and is replaced by a recording info readout, which tells us some key info including the amount of device storage used, and most importantly, the number of drop frames in our recording as well as the current clip size. If you see drop frames, your target frame rate will be affected, and it is best to end the recording and try again. During a recording, we still have full control over our exposure, focus and white balance settings, and are free to lock and unlock these values. When we end a recording, it's saved to the device in the MC RAW file format, which can be viewed by tapping on Manage Videos. On the left half, your videos are displayed from newest to oldest. Tap the play icon to play a clip back. To exit, swipe to reveal your phone's system navigation and press back. Now we will import and render our RAW video from MC Pro to our computer so that it is ready for editing in the free application DaVinci Resolve, which is available for Mac and Windows and offers the best professional suite of tools for working with and grading RAW video. As I'm on a Mac, I'll use the free application OpenMTP to import my RAW video from the Documents MotionCam Pro folder of my Android device over to my Mac. If you're on a Windows computer, you will have native file browsing support. Once copied across, you can see we have our RAW recordings in the MCRAW format, which you can only open currently with a couple of dedicated apps, both of them free. MotionCam Tools, which is made by the developer of MC Pro, or the MVL app, which has just added support and is much more fully featured as a grading solution. However, in this tutorial, we will use MotionCam Tools as it is much simpler when it comes to converting the MC RAW format to cinema DNGs that DaVinci Resolve can work with. Download it from the MotionCam Pro website and install it on your PC or Mac, then launch it. Click the Add button to import all your MC RAW clips that you wish to convert. Once imported, you can click on each clip down here to select it and scrub through it using the Preview Frame slider to ensure it's the clip that you want to convert. Next, select where you want to store your converted RAW video to. Then select Render. Once completed, under your Render Destination folder, you'll find a folder for each rendered clip full of beautiful DNG RAW files ready to be imported for editing in DaVinci Resolve. Now let's import these clips into Resolve and take a look at how we can work with them. Launch Resolve and create a new project. Under Settings, set your timeline resolution to match your recording resolution, which for me was 3840 by 2160. Next, make sure the timeline frame rate matches your capture frame rate, which for me is 24 frames per second. As this is a beginner's tutorial, we will leave color management set to the defaults and save our changes. Next, click on the Media page. To add your render folder as a destination, just right-click in the sidebar and select New Destination and navigate to the folder you rendered your RAW video to from MotionCam Tools. Drag them all down to the Master Media panel and your clips can be instantly played back. I'll switch to the Edit page and drag them down to create a timeline. Next, I'll select the Color page, which is where the RAW magic happens. Click on the Camera Raw button. Currently, we don't get any Camera Raw tools because Decode Using is set to Project. If we change this to Clip, suddenly we unleash RAW video's full potential. This shot looks overexposed with clipped highlights. I can use the Exposure slider and Highlight slider to restore that information. If your highlights are completely blown, try enabling Highlight Recovery and just look at the difference it made. For an organic film look, I always set my sharpness to 0, and of course we can fine-tune our white balance here too. The Camera Raw controls provide a huge amount of flexibility to push and pull your video, and in addition use Resolve's many grading tools to arrive at a finished look. Currently we are working in Rec 709 color space, which is a great way to get a finished look quickly. But we can also work in P3D60 and Blackmagic Design color spaces too, with the ability to choose different gammas. And just to give you an idea of what is possible if you upgrade to the paid Studio version of Resolve, which will be the second best investment you ever make after MotionCam Pro, we get access to Resolve's effects, which include the color space transform. So for example, I could set the color space under Camera Raw to P3D60 with a linear gamma, and then on my first node, I can add a color space transform from the FX library. Here I could set the input to P3 and linear, and set the output color space to ARRI wide gamma 3 and the output gamma to ARRI log C. Instantly, we are working with the most popular log format in Hollywood, and this means we can apply the legendary ARRI Alexa LUTs to our MC Pro footage. I'll drag out the K1S1 ARRI Alexa LUT and boom! Gorgeous skin tones, legendary ARRI color science, and filmic highlight roll-off that most pay $100,000 for. The possibilities are truly endless when working with MotionCam Pro RAW video in DaVinci Resolve. And another workflow I love is to get rid of the ARRI LUT and instead use the film emulation plugin FilmConvert Nitrate. Here I can select the ARRI Alexa as my camera, then apply legendary Fujifilm and Kodak film emulation. Tweak the look, add film grain and halation, until I have an incredible film look for my MotionCam Pro RAW video that looks so good no one would ever know this was filmed on a smartphone. FilmConvert is a paid plugin and requires the studio version of Resolve to work, and you can check the link in the description if you'd like to save 10% off. These were very fast overviews just to show you what is possible, but dedicated in-depth tutorials will be coming to the channel soon on how to grade your MotionCam Pro RAW video. I hope this video has helped you take your first steps with the incredible MotionCam Pro app for Android as well as RAW video. If it helped, please share the video so it can help others get up and running with RAW video on Android too, and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to master smartphone filmmaking. Any questions or feedback, I always appreciate hearing from you in the comments below. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.